Well, we recently turned the calendar to 2023, and it got me going back in time, in my mind anyway, 50 years to 1973, and thinking about just how great a year that was for music. In just a bit, I'll tell you my personal top 10 favorites from that amazing year. But first, a few other classics released that year. Well, Little Feats, Dixie Chicken, the great T-Rex album, Tanks, the Doobie Brothers, The Captain and Me, which had the monster hits China Grove and Long Train Runnin', Roxy Music's For Your Pleasure, Iggy and the Stooges' Raw Power. I'll tell you, that one and the New York Dolls debut, released a few months later, are both American punk rock classics. Plus, we got Bloodshot from the J. Giles Band, You Got to Give It to Me, and a couple from David Bowie, Aladdin Sane, and his covers album, Pinups. Let's not forget Stevie Wonder's Inner Visions with the hits Livin' for the City and Higher Ground. Paul McCartney and Wings released Red Rose Speedway and the great Band on the Run. We got Humble Pie's Eat It, The Faces' Ooh La La, the Rolling Stones' Goat's Head Soup, plus ZZ Top gave us Tres Hombres that had the great song La Grange, ha 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 ha. Among other notable releases in 73, the Steve Miller Band's The Joker, Black Sabbath's Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Oh, Lou Reed's very depressing album, this one here, Berlin. We got Roxy Music's Stranded, John Lennon's Mind Games, Hall & Oates' Abandoned Luncheonette, Mott the Hoople's Mott, Genesis Selling England by the Pound, and a couple from Yes Songs, and Tales from Topographic Oceans. Also from 1973, the soundtracks to both American Graffiti and Jesus Christ Superstar. And these two big-selling compilation double albums from that little band from Liverpool, The Beatles, 1962-66 and 1967-70, released on that same day in the spring of 73. I never really sampled this album, but I loved the title. The group Spooky Tooth, and the album You Broke My Heart, So I Busted Your Jaw. By the way, Mick Jones, who later co-founded Foreigner, played guitar on that album with Gary Wright of Dreamweaver fame on the keyboards and backing vocal. All right, without further ado, my personal faves from 1973. Honorable mention would go to the debut album by Queen that included Keep Yourself Alive. The debut also from Montrose, which introduced us to the great Sammy Hagar, Rock the Nation and Rock Candy among the many great songs on there. And a couple of true classics, Billy Joel's Piano Man and Paul McCartney and Wings' Band on the Run, as I mentioned. Okay, let's do this now. My top 10 from 1973. Number 10, The Who's Quadrophenia, the third rock opera from The Who, with so many great songs on it, such as The Real Me, 515, and Love Reign O'er Me. Number 9, a terrific Southern rock album, Brothers and Sisters by the Allman Brothers, with the classics Ramblin' Man and Jessica on there. At number 8, the debut album from, the bad boys from Boston, Aerosmith, the LP that included Dream On and Walkin' the Dog. 7th on my list, I mentioned this one earlier, David Bowie's Aladdin Sane. Love that whole album, but especially Cracked Actor, Watch That Man, and of course the Genie. At number 6, well, this one may surprise some people, but I love this album. Alice Cooper's $1 Billion Babies. The title song plus great tunes like Hello, Hooray, Elected, No More Mr. Nice Guy, and the creepy I Love the Dead. I'm not apologizing. All right, now my top 5. First, in 5th, the debut from The Boss, Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey, where we got Bruce's first batch of great songs like Blinded by the Light, Growing Up for You, and Spirit in the Night. I'll tell you, my buddy Tom Cunningham is going to kill me for not having this one higher on my list. I'm sorry, TC. Number 4, anyway. Boy, did I give this double album a whole lot of play on my turntable back in the day. Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. So many great songs on there, with the first 20 minutes consisting of Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding, Candle in the Wind, and Benny in the Jets. Wow. Number 3, one of Led Zeppelin's many great albums, Houses of the Holy, with great tunes like Dancing Day, The Ocean, Over the Hills and Far Away, and Jamaica. Coming at number 2, that amazing debut release, Pronounced Leonard Skinner, from those Southern rockers from Florida, with 4 of their classic tunes on that first album, Simple Man, Gimme 3 Steps, Tuesday's Gone, and Freebird. Unbelievably, I never actually owned the album. Go figure. And unquestionably, my number 1 album from 1973, it's a lot of people's number 1, I'm sure, a classic that stayed on the Billboard album chart for 14 plus years. Pink Floyd's epic Dark Side of the Moon, one of those albums that you can listen to start to finish all these years later and never tire of it. On the Run, Time, Money, Us and Them, etc. Wow, impossible to top that one. There you have it, 50 years later, memories of a slew of great music that still provides us lots of listening pleasure.